If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You've been called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. So I'm used to it.
Yeah. Well, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
Last night on CNN, we've seen meltdowns. We've seen absolute disintegration of these panel discussions, but nothing like we saw last night. It ended with one of our favorite members of the CNN analyst team getting kicked off and fired from CNN. It is a complete and total injustice. Let's get right to it. We've been telling you over the last several weeks that we're loving the work of Ryan Girdusky on these panels. He tells it like it is. He doesn't take any crap from these people. And he was, well, asked to take some crap from a newcomer to the panel, one Mehdi Hasan. That name might sound familiar. We'll tell you who he is in a minute, but watch exactly what happened here.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You've been called an
anti-Semite
more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. So I'm used to it.
Yeah. I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
You should not.
No,
Did you just say I should be killed?
No, I did not say that. No, I did not say that.
Hold on.
Did your guest just say I should be killed on live TV?
I said I hope
Guys,
you don't.
let me just stop.
You said you hope my beeper doesn't go off.
Because you said I'm a big supporter
of the Palestinians.
Hamas.
Guys, let me
I said
stop.
Palestinian.
Are you?
Am I what? No, of course I'm not.
Palestinians
I apologize.
Are you a racist, violent person inciting violence against
Ryan,
me?
that is completely.
No, I apologize.
Good
That
job,
is
CNN. Let's
completely
have first
out
block
of
say the
pocket.
Muslim guy
You
should
know
be
that.
blown
I
up
apologize.
on
I
TV.
apologize.
Don't say then I apologize. You literally.
I thought you said Hamas.
You didn't think I said Hamas.
No,
I
you
said I
didn't.
supported Palestinian rights.
Yes, I did.
Why? Because when you hear
What's funny
Palestinian,
is
you
Rudy
hear Hamas.
Giuliani said this
No,
yesterday,
because-
so you're a great guest to
Listen.
be here
All
to
right,
defend Rudy Giuliani.
Give me
I
one
wasn't
second.
going to entertain
Give me one
nonsense
second.
today, and so at this point,
This is what we're in
I
now.
can't
This
do
is America in
Here's what I
2024.
will say.
Forget the
Here's what
racism.
That's right.
I should
That's
die.
right.
I didn't
That's-
say that. You
You
should
said,
die.
what does beeper mean? Don't give me your
I
fake
did not say
ignorance.
you should
Guys,
die.
Why did you say
guys,
with my
give me-
beeper
give me
go
a-
off?
What did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
So what did you mean?
What did you mean by the beeper?
No,
No, you didn't. You said, I hope your beeper doesn't go off.
Ryan, stop talking.
At least
sorry.
have the guts to
I'm
support your
so
racist
sorry.
comment.
Hang on.
I'm so sorry.
Gotta bring it back.
This is why yesterday's rally
Yeah.
was disgusting.
Don't call us
and
Nazis, but I'm going to
outrageous.
threaten the brown guy as a
This is
terrorist
why.
and kill him.
Because I didn't ever say Donald Trump was Hitler.
Man.
But do you know who stood on a stage yesterday and said, I want to come to the Nazi rally? I don't have to make up words and call you something. You're saying it for yourself. And what you just said
Kamala
right
Harris
here,
is a pimp.
apologize, but I will tell you, I don't accept that apology, and you didn't even say it
That's
to
fine.
me.
I didn't say it
That
to
was
you.
disgusting. But I can be offended when you don't even say it
That's-
to me. I'm not Puerto Rican, but I was offended by what he said
Okay.
yesterday. And I'm offended that the former president and potentially future president would allow it and go for 12 hours and not say, I don't care. Because you know what? When Kamala Harris put out statements about switching up opinions, it wasn't good enough for
Why are
Republicans.
you looking at me?
Because you said it.
Why don't
'Cause
you take this?
All right. So a couple of things here. We're going to break this down and we're going to give you a lot of background and a lot of details so you can contextualize what happened here. There's one really important lesson here that I want everyone to take away, and that is the person who expresses that they're offended and they're personally offended and absolutely outraged by the comment that you just made. The person who says that first will always win these arguments. So the real lesson here is that Girdusky, instead of giving a witty response, which was like on its face very funny, he should have first been offended. See, he acted like a man. He took the insult that he got from Mehdi Hasan, and then he returned in kind, and then all hell breaks loose. Watch what happens. The first thing that happens is Mehdi Hasan tells Ryan Girdusky, if you don't want to be called a Nazi, then stop doing Nazi things.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing.
You've been called
stop
an
saying it.
anti-Semite more
saying
than anyone
things.
else's table.
Yeah.
And people will
By
sit there
you.
and no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians, so I'm used to it. It's
Yeah,
fine.
I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is
Did
that
you just say I should
wow.
die?
All right. Now that, again, on its face, objectively speaking, that's funny. That's a funny line. He called Ryan Girdusky a Nazi. Ryan replies back after Mehdi Hasan says he supports the Palestinians with, I hope your peeper doesn't go off. And then real men move on. You got me calling me a Nazi. I got you making a joke about you being a terrorist. We move on. if Girdusky had said, "How dare you, sir? How dare you call me a Nazi? I will have none of it. You are a racist. In fact, I'm Girdusky. Oh, my family comes from Poland. You know what's in Poland? Auschwitz is in Poland. Did you know who invaded Poland? Hitler. What are you saying? What are you saying, sir?" You see, you need to fake outrage. You need to go nuts. You need to act like your hair is on fire. You need to, that's how you win on CNN. That's a big lesson here. Wit, humor, dealing things like men deal with things. No, that will never work. You kidding? This is not a men's arena. There's no masculinity involved here. No. You got to be offended. But let's roll the tape back a bit, because this is what you're not seeing. Did I say Nazi? This is what you're not seeing. You Nazi. This is what the Nazis are not seeing. What happened a few minutes before this exchange? You have to understand the setup. You have to understand the context. So let's rewind a couple of minutes before that now infamous exchange.
The president could have expected not to do this massive rally, which quite frankly was historic, came out there and the media is just, oh, he's a Nazi, it's Hitler, and all this crazy stuff that they were saying. So I think in many respects, that rhetoric is much, much worse than what you just played there.
Just to be clear, Hitler has entered the conversation because his chief of staff said that Trump, not the media, but Trump was the one who brought up Hitler.
And five people who were there said it didn't.
Okay,
exactly.
You're mixing anecdotes. That's not what
actually Hitler entered the conversation because his running mate actually compared him to Hitler.
Well,
that's when it actually entered the conversation years ago. No. That's how we brought Hitler into this conversation, because the person that Donald Trump picked to be his running mate compared him to Hitler. And then he changed his mind. Fine, change your mind. But then somebody else verified. Take comedians for where they were. Bad choice, disgusting language. I would never buy a ticket to his show, but do it on a comedy stage, not the president of the United States rally. And if you do it on the stage of a rally and the president, the responsibility of the person who wants to be the leader of the free world is to come out like John McCain did when somebody wanted to call Obama a derogatory name, said no, because that's what leaders do. But you know what? Nobody did that after he did it. People came out and they piled on and they piled on and they piled on and they piled on. But I'm not surprised. And I'm glad that the backlash actually came, because some people, I was in Philly all day today, and believe it or not, even though Philly is, and tomorrow's the last day to vote early in Philly, so vote today, Philly, vote tomorrow, today, or on November 5th. But if you haven't been paying attention, I'm glad you start to pay attention now and see these people for who they are and what they think of you, what they think of Black people, what they think of Jewish people, what they think of women, because they said it out of their mouth.
At all.
But they did say, we played the clips. Right?
Okay, but the media
said all of those
the
things.
media did not just say that Trump was Hitler. The media was saying that everyone who attended was Hitler. The reason yes, they did. Yes, they did. Yes, they did. Over and over. They call them anyone who attends.
Hang on just a second.
Are Nazis,
hang on just one second, okay? Because it's the hyperbole that's getting me. You said the media called everyone who attended that rally Hitler?
Yes, they did.
So when
you attend that rally, you are a fascist.
Okay.
That is what they said.
Well, let's talk about this table right here.
Okay, I don't know what everyone said yesterday. I wasn't on all your Twitter
I didn't say anything.
Okay.
Ryan.
I just watched
that. Did not happen.
Yes, it did.
And waiting for people like you
Abby
to maybe
Phillip,
say something.
It 100% happened.
All right. So thank you, Newsbusters. We love it when you get our clips for us there. So first of all, the whole conversation leading up to this moment when Mehdi Hasan says, you don't want to be called a Nazi, don't do Nazi things. They were rationalizing and explaining and defending and frankly patting themselves on the back for introducing Hitler into the conversation, into this presidential election, giving us all the reasons why it's okay to talk about Hitler in this conversation. And then Ryan Girdusky accurately says that the media has not just called Trump Hitler, but they said that everyone who attended that rally yesterday is a Nazi. He gets talked over, he gets shouted down, he gets shut down by the host, and the host basically says, no, you're lying, that didn't happen. I showed you the clip yesterday from MSNBC, Jonathan Capehart, who did exactly that, comparing it to the 1939 rally that was attended by who? By Nazis. And now here they are back again. That's exactly what the media has been doing. And even beyond that, the woman sitting next to Ryan Girdusky, who, wore her nicest hoodie to a cable news primetime program because that's how much she cares about being on television. She basically says, hey, forget about who was in the room. What about who's at this panel right now, calling Ryan Girdusky a Nazi? So, pardon Ryan Girdusky for being a little defensive and finally not taking it anymore and actually pushing back against Mehdi Hasan. By the way, who is Mehdi Hasan? Mehdi Hasan currently has a media empire that he has created, and it's funded mostly, if you do the research, by the country of Qatar. By many people's estimation, the entire operation is a propaganda organ for extreme radical interests in the Middle East connected to the Qatari regime. He is so extreme and such an anti-Semite. You can Google the videos of him saying some of the most derogatory things about non-Muslims, about homosexuals too, by the way, for good measure, comparing them to barnyard animals and worse. He was so extreme in his anti-Israel, anti-Semitic rhetoric that he was too extreme for MSNBC. Even MSNBC said, yeah, we're not going to be in the Mehdi Hasan business anymore. So they bring him on to the panel, and well, you saw what happened after that infamous exchange. So they go to commercial break. They come back from commercial break, and this is what viewers saw.
We're back here, and before we get started, I want to just address what happened in the last segment. First, I want to apologize to Mehdi Hasan for what was said at this table. It was completely unacceptable. When we get this discussion started, you'll see that Ryan is not at the table. There is a line that was crossed there, and it's not acceptable to me. It's not acceptable to us at this network. We want discussion. We want people who disagree with each other to talk to each other. But when you cross the line of a complete lack of civility, that is not going to happen here on this show. It's a heated time. We're in the middle of a political season. We are 8 days from a presidential election, but we can have conversations.
Okay, so let's just be clear on what CNN is telling you, the viewer, that it's crossing a line to make a joke, an obvious joke, about Mehdi Hasan having a beeper and being connected to Hezbollah. And then, by the way, immediately apologizes. All right, fine, I'm sorry. But it's not crossing a line calling half of this country Nazis. And let's just be clear, that's exactly what they did. Donald Trump right now is polling at best in the national popular vote 50-50 with Kamala Harris. Some estimations have him at 1 or 2% in the lead, meaning a small but hearty majority of Americans, according to CNN, are Nazis, and they can openly refer to them as Nazis, and that is not crossing the line. But a guy who spews anti-Semitic, anti-Israel rhetoric whenever possible, and apparently has a media empire funded by the government of Qatar, which I believe has its own terrorist ties directly or indirectly, calling him jokingly a potential terrorist, that's crossing the line. And that's what gets you fired. It's a good lesson to learn as you make your decisions about what media to consume and what not to consume. CNN put out a statement about it. Zero room for racism or bigotry at CNN or on our air. No, apparently there's a little bit of room. There's a little bit of room for bigotry. We aim to foster thoughtful conversations and debate, including between people who profoundly disagree with each other, in order to explore important issues and promote mutual understanding, but we will not allow guests to be demeaned or for the line of civility to be crossed. Ryan Girdusky will not be welcomed back at our network. I'm sure Ryan Girdusky is brokenhearted about that. We'll get to his statement in a moment, but who is Ryan Girdusky exactly? We've just started talking about him about 3 or 4 weeks ago. He's been involved in communicating political and conservative ideas for several years now. He's kind of a Washington stalwart. He's around quite a bit and people know him. He does good work. He also has a lot of friendships. This guy, Scott, decided to share this story on social media. In February, I attempted suicide. When he found out, Ryan Girdusky was among the first to reach out to offer support and proactively kept checking in on me since then. He's a good friend, a good man, and a shrewd commentator. CNN and other outlets should continue to have him on. In fact, I think he followed up. And to those who asked and reached out, I know I am genuinely in a much better and healthier place thanks to the love and support of a truly amazing, caring family, as well as a wonderful group of friends. Be a helping hand sometimes. A single text message can make all the difference. It's a great story. And from whatever, I've never met Ryan. I've met Ryan once in an event, and I've had him on my radio program to be interviewed, but that's not like being friends. I'm not going to say I'm Ryan Girdusky's friends, but I know people who know him very well. And this is exactly what I hear about Ryan and about what kind of man he is. Ryan eventually took to social media himself last night around midnight and just let everybody know exactly where things stand at CNN. You can stay on CNN if you falsely call every Republican a Nazi and have taken money from Qatar-funded media. Apparently, you can't go on CNN if you make a joke. I'm glad America gets to see what CNN stands for. We're on Team Ryan on this whole thing. It's not even close. But I also want to point out one other thing. Not only we're not going to play the whole clip again. You saw what happened, and you saw Mehdi Hasan with his, crybaby freak out over this thing. I assure you, you Google Mehdi Hasan, and you take a look at the debates that Mehdi Hasan has engaged in ever since October 7th. I guarantee you he's been called much worse than this. And he's acted like a big boy on those platforms. He did a debate up in Canada with Douglas Murray. Douglas Murray demolished him in that debate. It's a great debate. He did appearances on Piers Morgan and some other British television. He reacted this way because he knew that in America on CNN, with the estrogen-filled newsroom that they've got over there, that if you feign, outrage and offense, well, that's your ticket to stardom. I will not be surprised if he's offered a contract by CNN before the week is out. This is how you get things in American media. And you noticed as the whole thing played out, he kept, Abby Phillips kept trying to say, everybody be quiet. Everybody calm down. Let's reset here. And Girdusky was like, okay, I'll stop defending myself. I'll follow the host's lead here. Go ahead and take control back. And the woman next to him in her very, very nice hoodie, her best hoodie. If you're going on cable news on primetime, wear your best hoodie. Okay. And Mehdi Hasan, they kept going. And then it was quiet. Abby Phillip starts talking. Mehdi Hasan jumps in again. He kept perpetuating. He kept going with his victim mentality and his virtue signaling and screaming that he's the victim in all this. He's the victim in all this. I'm telling you, if Ryan Girdusky had thrown a hissy fit immediately because he was called a Nazi, he'd have the upper hand. The person who was offended first always wins these things. Now, the problem is Ryan Girdusky is a white dude. And so he's already behind the 8 ball here. Mehdi Hasan has a trump card and he can always play it. But I want to draw your attention to one very interesting thing about this exchange that not a whole lot of people are picking up on. It comes right back to the beginning here. Let's make it a little bit bigger so everybody can see it. When Ryan Girdusky makes his joke about the beepers, I want you to listen very carefully to Mehdi Hasan's immediate reaction.
If you don't want to be called Nazis, stop doing it.
You're called an anti-Semite more than anyone else's table.
Yeah.
And people will sit there and, no, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
Did you catch that? Did you catch his immediate reaction? One more time, real fast.
Your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
Now, maybe I'm overthinking this. Maybe I'm overanalyzing it. Maybe I spend too much time looking at these clips to prepare for this program. But I always try to put myself in the individual's place when moments like this happen. And I'm thinking, I'm Mehdi Hasan. I'm part of this conversation. And people have accused me of being aligned with terror countries and Qatar. And I'm taking money from Qatar for my media empire. And I'm constantly, saying things against Israel and in favor of the Palestinian movement, which, of course, supports Hamas and Hezbollah and et cetera, et cetera. And somebody makes that joke about me, I would think that my initial instinctive natural reaction would be, did you just call me a terrorist? Did you just suggest that I would have a beeper that was part of a terrorist network? Are you calling me Hezbollah? Are you accusing me of being Hamas? Isn't that exactly what a normal person would do in response to that joke? Right? But that's not what he said. He said, did you just say I should die? Because Mehdi Hasan's immediate reaction to a joke about him having a beeper is that those beepers explode, right?
No, by me. I never called you an anti-Semite. I mean, I'm not sitting here saying
I'm a supporter of the Palestinians. I'm used to it.
Yeah, I hope your beeper doesn't go off. The thing is that
you just say I should die.
You should not.
No, I said.
And for the next, minute and a half of this exchange with all the crosstalk, that's what Mehdi Hasan kept fixating on. He just said, I should die. He wants me to die. He just said I should die. And I took it as, no, actually, I think the joke was that you're a terrorist. And he never, in a weird way, I think Mehdi Hasan's reaction sort of took that part for granted. It's like, it's a given I'm a terrorist, but you just wish death upon me. That I could be wrong. Maybe I'm overanalyzing. And not to split hairs, but by definition, the joke that Ryan Girdusky made is not hoping that he should die. He literally was hoping that he doesn't die. I mean, if anything, the joke that Ryan made was, oh, well, I mean, if you got a pager, I hope you left it at home because I would hate for anything to happen to you. Right? I mean, he literally was not hoping he would die. He was hoping that, I was probably hoping that the rest of the people at the table there also didn't get caught in any of the crossfire or sort of shrapnel that might be exploding out as well. Again, I'm overanalyzing. But I think it's worth thinking on and pondering on that Mehdi Hasan's immediate reaction was, did you just say I should die rather than, are you calling me a terrorist? I don't know why. I just think that he should probably be more concerned about being called a terrorist, unless, he's down with that. There's a lot at stake in this election, but regardless of who's sitting in the White House, the fuse on the economy has already been lit. 4 years of a conservative presidency will not be enough to turn the tide on our $35 trillion national debt. Almost every analyst will tell you that. And if the left wins, it's like throwing gas on a dumpster fire. We don't have much control over this election's outcome. All we can do is vote and tell 10 friends to vote with us. But you do have control over your savings, and you can diversify your savings right now by investing in gold from Birch Gold. For millennia, gold has stood firm in the face of greedy governments, economic upheavals, global strife, and it can protect you now. Birch Gold will help you convert an IRA or 401k into an IRA in physical gold, and it doesn't cost you a penny out of pocket. In the past 4 years, the buying power of the U.S. dollar has cratered. The price of gold has increased 40%. Text Larry to 989898. Get your free info kit on gold. Trust Birch Gold as I do to protect your savings. Text Larry to 989898 today.